with EX8 revealing the next wave of support for the Nature Spirits line, you definitely know we're hitting up that second album with Strawberries and Floodgates. So, let's jump into these cool dudes, shall we? Motimon here from EX8, coming in with a simple Lesser and NSP traded baby. Your turn, once per turn, when any of your other NSP traded Digimon are played, if this Digimon has the NSP trait, it may attack. Now, firstly speaking, as this deck wants to go wide continuously, and Eldoradimon just goes, "Oh hey friends, want to come out and play?" This is generally going to be a very good way of giving you the extra swing at the end of a turn. You've already played stuff out and about, and making it for a interesting style of deck. I do think this is going to be the main baby going forwards, to the point of where probably 1 year it just isn't played. Now the draw 1 effect is really good still, but having the ability to kind of force out this attack is also pretty good, meaning that some of your players can actually continue on a little bit more, as well as it being a case of this can actually happen earlier on as well, so it's just on play. So if you've just got like a level 4 on the field or a level 5 on the field, and then let's just say you play out the Searcher Tentamon in the future, this will just let you attack because you played out a Digimon. Doesn't have to be off by effect by the reads of it, just played, which is pretty good that it's not under an effect situation. We're going to run some of the Gotsumons here because Blocker is still pretty good even on level 3. This is just a body that you need to be absorbed into some impact damage or slow down your opponent for 1 or 2 turns. Gotsumon here with the Rock and SP trait is going to be very good for this deck, as well as the Mineral deck coming up around the corner. Otomamon here, annoying everyone since EX7 came out here. Players can't reduce play cost, very good into the current meta, and will be going into EX8 as well as into 2.5. Obviously for us, the 2.5 meta comes out after EX8 does, so it's something you can look into. But players can't reduce play cost is just really good into any of the Digicross decks, as well as into 7 Demon Lords. So that will generally be making a stink for any of those Digimon going forwards. Playing the new Tentamon here, which is the Searcher, which we could have really done with the first wave of support, but I'm glad we do get it at least with the second. And that is on play with the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 Insectoid traded card and 1 NSP traded card amongst them to the hand. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. It's pretty darn good if you ask me, because with the new version of the deck you are going to be running the Tentamon line, so you can search for one of those bodies out so you can get your level 4, 5, 6 or itself, and then you can go into an NSP, which is any of the other Digimon in this deck, including itself. So you can, if you really have to, grab 2 more Tentamons out of the search option. You're also going to run the Pomimon from BT9. This little thing, this plant bastard, has been annoying me since the early days. And now I say this as someone who loves Mastimon and couldn't play that goddamn deck in a side event because Pomimon came to the field, but apparently Chaos Degeneration is just too much of an oppressive card. People, eh? Gekumon now, from our level 4s. On play and when Digivolving, draw a card. Still a very good trait. If this is kind of a bricky opening hand, you've already mulliganed into this, at least you're going to play for a 4 cost, you are going to get a draw out of it, hopefully putting you into a better position, as well as having a body on the field to go into the next turn, where if you do have a level 5 active, you can then have a jamming underneath it. Quite a fan of the Gekomon, even if it isn't going to be the most powerful card in this deck. Monochromon here, making its way back into the deck. The 1 cost Digivolution is just very good for getting out into your level 5s super early. It doesn't have an effect, but it is also classed as a dinosaur, and it Digivolves from any of the SPs for a 1 cost, again making it a very good card. The fun thing about Monochrome and the next card, Kabuterimon, is they do Digivolve off of a green card, and Pomon being the only non-NSP card in the deck is green, making it at least that most of the level 4s can Digivolve up into the off of that if I need to. Kabuterimon now here as our newest option. Nothing too much to write home about here, but on play when Digivolving you may suspend 1 Digimon, which isn't nothing to shake a stick at. But then on your turn you also gain 2000 DP, same with the Tentamon. You can become a very big Digimon very quickly if this is the case. It's not very good on your opponent's side, but if you do get the whole play out of Digimon, you've got these in your sources, you get to swing with a big body then. Your opponent's probably less likely to block, and if they are to block, if you do have one of the level green level 5s in your stack, it didn't really matter after all. But yeah, happy to see Kabutorimon, again an Insectoid as well as an NSP trait, making it super easy for Tintamon to find this on its top 3 search. Going into the level 5s now, Shogun Gekomon on play if one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't suspend until the end of their turn. Unfortunately no Digivolving effect, but that is still pretty cool, and this is one you want to find generally off of the Aldradimon search capability. Your turn, none of your NSP trait Digimon's attacks targets can change, with the meta currently being quite blocker heavy and redirect heavy to some degree. Goading comes to mind, and this Digimon's going to be very good. To be fair, I probably only run this one as a 2 of, maybe a 3 of max, but this should not deter you from playing it. It's a very good card. Triceramon with on play, and when Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. This Digimon can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. As it is your opponent's stuff, it's pretty cool. Triceramon though does have the effect that a lot of the green cards do have now, which is all turns up to turn. When this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, trash their top security. This is really good because Eldrazi has blocker, it's a level 6. If you swung with it, if you've got guts underneath it, it now has reboot. Reboot after the swing, you've now got a blocker. If your opponent swings into you and you're still a big boy, spend to block it, kill it, pop a security. It will make the deck go quicker, and it's just very good overall. Now with Mega Kabutorimon here, we have Fortitude for the first time in the deck. It's a very interesting skill to have. Not really sure why Fortitude is here, but I'm not going to complain too much. It's probably better than having it on the Ace, because the Ace would have been very powerful otherwise. But this does make it a lot harder to get rid of this Digimon, although when Fortitude triggers, I do believe it gets removed from the field and then comes back, like Regeneration would in Magic, if anyone plays Magic. But all turns while this Digimon is suspended, it gets 3000 DP, which makes this a 10,000 body on the field if it is suspended, so either because you've attacked or you've suspended yourself with an effect going down the line. All turns of turn, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, trash your opponent's top security card, same as the Triceramon. To be fair, you're probably looking at running this as a 5 of combo here, and then possibly running the Shogun as a 2 or 3 of, because the effect of the Shogun so that your NSPs can't be blocked is just fantastic, and no one can tell me otherwise. Now we're going to play Aldradimon. This is going to be a 4 of card because it's just so good. Blocker, on play, and when Digivolve, remove your top 4 cards of your deck. You may play up to 7 cost totals worth of NSP traded Digimon cards, amongst them without paying the costs. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. Don't complain, it's very, very good. End of your turn, once per turn, 2 of your Digimon may DNA Digivolve into an NSP traded Digimon card in their hand. This does include the Metal Etamon, so if you somehow have 2 level 5s in the field that can DNA Digivolve into it, you can do that. This does include going into the Talokmon, which is your level 7. It doesn't have to be itself. Unfortunately, though, we don't have any blue NSPs currently, and the only real black choice at the moment is Eldrazi. So you are generally running Eldrazi with the other 2 aces that we just got, because they are both the other side of the colour chart that you need to Digivolve into Talokmon. Not saying that you couldn't run Etamon, it's just Etamon is a bit chunkier and a bit more of an awkward situation in comparison. We're also in the new Hercules Kabutorimon Ace. I have tried to figure out if this is going to be any good into the Insectoid deck. I don't think it's going to be as great as I want it to be, but luckily enough, we do get access to this in the SP, and it's very good here. You do get to have Hand Counter and Blast Digivolution as all aces do, but on play and when Digivolving for a cost of 6, very cheap. You may suspend up to 3 Digimon. For each of your opponent's Digimon suspended by this effect, gain 1 memory. You can suspend your own Digimon if you really want to, just to make things suspended. All turns once per turn. When this Digimon becomes suspended, one of your Digimon gains piercing and gets 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. If you hard play this at the end of your turn or during your turn, you've already got a bigger body on the field, and you suspend this and then 2 other things, and then you leave the other thing up, you can give that piercing, you can give it the extra 3000 DP, and if it has Moti in its sources, it can now swing into your opponent, either through one of their suspended Digimon, as it's all the suspensions already happened, or you can just swing into security for that extra check. But since you'll generally be running one of the level 5's green cards in the sources, it's probably best to run through one of your opponent's Digimon if you are bigger than them. Also running the Saber Leodimon. Again, Hand, Counter, Blast Digivolution, 7 cost at level 6, fairly good here, and it can Digivolve over level 5 NSP traits for free, and a Leomon in the name for a free cost. On play, when digivolving 2 of your opponent's suspended Digimon and get 8000 DP until the end of your turn. When digivolving when attacking once per turn, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then, if your opponent has no suspended Digimon, unsuspend this Digimon. Generally, as a rule, if you are digivolving this with either Blast or during your main turn, it's probably best to, when digivolving, suspend something, so then you can, when digivolving, give 2 of your opponent's Digimon minus 8000 DP for the turn. It's more effective. It makes them very, very pitiful to play against, and it can be quite annoying. Tamers, the level 7 here, the big boss boy of the deck. When digivolving, you may play a 1/7 cost or lower Digimon card with the NSP trait from your hand without paying the cost. If DNA digivolving, you may instead play up to 2 such Digimon cards with different colours from your hand without paying the cost. When digivolving, when attacking, once per turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7000 DP for each of your Digimon. As this deck wants to go very wide, it's very easy to give your opponents also minus DP, and so I wouldn't worry about Tamers being the brute that his tiny frame seems to be. Nature Spirits, the option card. Very interesting cards, as you may have seen from the latest set. We have Nature Spirits, we have Deep Savers, and we have the Nightmare Soldiers. I am expecting one for Mineral or Rock. I'm not really too sure what they want to class the archetype as, but as there is a space between the green and the purple, which would make it a black option card, we probably will be seeing one for that as well. While you don't have a face-up security card, you may ignore this card's colour requirement, which is fantastic for a cost of 2, especially if you want to do this very early in the game. Security, all turns, all of your NSP traded Digimon gain Alliance, which is fantastic, and it does help with the skills that we see from Penultimate, helping give that Alliance, so that way when you do play something with Eldradi, you do have a chance to go into an even bigger body for 2 checks. Main, add your bottom security card to hand, then place this card face up as your bottom security. I like it, you know you like it, it's all good. Security effect though, you may play 1 level 5 or lower NSP traded Digimon card from your hand without paying the cost. That's cool, because we do have a blocker here, we do have ways of suspending things, that way if this is your last security and your opponent swings in, you do get a way of maybe slowing their game plan down at least for a turn, if it is in the hand, hopefully. Running some of the Heaven's Judgments, because Heaven's Judgment is still the best green card in the game. We're playing a very green deck, if you haven't seen. But while you have a green Digimon or Tamer, you may ignore this card's colour requirements. Main, activate the effect below. For each colour your Digimon have, activate it again. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6000 for the turn. This is incremental, which means you can choose which Digimon get in that 6000. So if your opponent has 4 Digimon and they all have like 5000 DP and you've got this and 3 colours on the field, they go bye-bye. Great card, fantastic card, still surprised that's been hit, but possibly in the near future when we are having more colours in our boards at the end, it might be getting changed around. And then finally for our last card of the day, Mr. Davies, Motomiya, everyone's favourite ramen chef. So of your turn, if you've got 2 or less memory, set your memory to 3, and then on play of your top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 blue and 1 green Digimon card amongst them to the hand, place your remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. Best blue starter we can have here, as your deck is mostly green and blue, 12 of your 14 cards are in that colour requirements. Unfortunately, Eldradi and Gotsu are the only ones that can't, so hopefully when you do the Davis search, you don't put 4 Eldradis to the bottom, or you'll be in a lot of pain, and you would not be able to play the game anymore. That being said though, if we do get access to the blue side, and it's very similar to Eldradi where end of turn you may DNA Digivolve, I can see that Eldradi will be going bye-bye, and the blue card will be taking over. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the blue card yet, but a lot of people are thinking that it will be possibly a new Mirage down the line. But with that being said, thank you for being here today, Tamers, and we do appreciate your support. If you are new here, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and coming back for more content, as we do try and do more on the daily, as much as we can. And join us for our weekly live streams, as they will be going out more often and more frequently for your viewing pleasure. For those of you who are wondering, what about the other NSP cards that I haven't talked about today, there's nothing wrong with those NSP cards at all. It's just a case of I don't think they're going to fit the deck very well. Specifically, Metal Entomon here, on play when Digivolving on deletion, give one of your opponent's Digimon minus security attack 2 till the end of their turn, then de-Digivolve one of their Digimon 1. I think this is a fairly good card. The issue is though, it's a very heavy costed card. You are having to Digivolve over something that you may not want to Digivolve over. We're not running any of the yellow line because I don't really like the yellow line. It's more of a control based variant, whereas this wants to be more of an aggressive based variant. If you want to have Metal Entomon, the Rapping Elvis, in your deck, you're more than welcome to. I may give it a try eventually, but I would possibly like to look at this a little bit more. The DNA Digivolution requirements are blue, yellow, or a green, with a green or a black, which means that you generally are going to have the colours for this to be going up into, as your line is generally going to be a blue and a green Digimon on the field. And again, Algeradi can make this DNA Digivolve from 2 things on the field, so that should not be an issue. Starmon, again, I'm not a massive fan of this. On play, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP per turn. I do not disagree with this being a good card, especially if you're going to be going into a meta against like Apomimons or Apomimon-like cards, where playing by effects is becoming impossible. I could see people taking in Starmon to be more of a an on-play threat to get rid of those floodgates off the field. Pixelmon, I'm not a massive fan of, but on deletion, you may play 1 4 cost or lower, yellow, or has a DNSP trait card from your hand, without paying the cost. This isn't terrible, as the level 4s in this deck aren't awful. Gekamon gets you a draw. Monochromon is just ready for some action with piercing underneath it, making it a kind of an interesting deck. But something that is quite interesting is that Tortmon has blocker, and in the opponent's turn, your opponent's effects can't delete this Digimon, making it so that things like Lilith X in the meta currently doesn't have a target to be deleted, which means that she has to go down with the sinking ship. And by God, we'll make her sink. So that is kind of where we are now. Again, Jagamon, on play, Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and all turns all of your Digimon with the NSP trait gains blocker. Blocker is obviously good to have, but there are certain things in the game that do say, hey, if you've got a blocker, blow that thing up. So it is kind of a catch-22 if that starts becoming more relevant due to the fact that the game is getting more blocker based. I can see those cards coming back as tech choices in the future. Good thing we don't have a side deck, right? And then the Wanya. As much as you've seen that I love Wanya, and Wanya is generally a card that I was craving quite a lot for this section of the game. When attacking was returned, if the Digimon has the NSP trait draw 1, it's still a very good inherited effect from a level 2, but unfortunately Motimon is fantastic in making you more aggressive, which was a big issue with this deck, where you're always having to go, do I swing and crash and hope I don't die, or do I actually play out my turn and try and go into the big guy at the end of the turn? Now you can do both and have a good time doing it. So, Tamers, with that being said, thank you for being here, and we'll catch you again in next week's Digimon deck profile. Mwah. Love you all, and remember your defeats.